clearance. I love that. $2
Yes, sir, yeah.
dress for my.
Why do you want to screen share? I'll screen share from here.
Many times in even.
Yeah, I'm just getting all my people.
Yeah, I have 3 apps on my phone now, back to Savannah.
Yeah. I appreciate
I
it.
do like,
Which one, what's the other one?
ThreadUp,
ThreadUp.
I do ThreadUp. And then the other,
But you
the
have to
Amazon
wait
thing.
until it's the free shipping and 20%. J Crew is 60% off sale right now.
Okay.
My card.
Again.
$30 to my, on the. Everything right now.
Do you help with printing issues?
Can I talk about that?
I've sent it.
Oh.
Because they can eat and breathe and sleep and everything. Haven't been sick.
How was it?
Thank you.
Sorry.
This really long, but very
Yes.
So.
Yes.
I'm good.
45 minutes to an hour short.
We wanted to do that.
Yeah.
But Sammy had already sent out the invitations when we were like an hour and a half to mingle.
Yeah. The presentation itself was wonderful. It was good and the setup was nice.
Okay.
We just
Yeah.
needed like a lot less time.
You need time with me? I can move. You need.
My personal.
Lab yesterday. I went to school yesterday and forgot to bring clothes for that.
Very panicked.
I did.
Debbie was trying to get me to go to TJ Maxx. I was like, dresses are $30, shoes are $30. I'm like, "Huh?" Abby, I went home after lab and I took an hour nap in my recliner. Just like my dad used to.
Perfect.
But
Perfect.
yeah, I don't think I would have laughed at it, but
It was a long time. It was very.
it's so nice. It's very good.
Right, I'm going to get up. So what's happening?
Oh, is it Fort Wayne?
That helps. What's wrong? That's spread. That's happening. Spread out. You should be waiting for me to help you in your shows. I have new friends. This weekend starting yesterday. I'll be driving.
Well,
You didn't have any.
Yeah.
Okay, because I have it on.
Definitely. Because I was kind of working and I came home, got home at 10 or 11. And
Wanting to know what was going on.
Are you like?
You know, I've been okay, but then it happened.
So, pretty low.
I was pretty glad.
Especially because 7 o'clock, okay, so I'll be rolling in like 10 minutes.
I'm gonna spend the summer on this stuff, but.
So that's why.
How are you, Sammy? You are awesome. Yes.
I was just, talking to Devin about,
Yeah.
Right now.
So they'll be signed by me.
gotcha, well, we're done, but I think
Yeah.
we can't figure it out.
It's all
Her
her stuff that was approved by us.
I'm not sure.
Yeah, that's all it
Yeah,
is.
she's got somebody who she's staying with her.
I told her
roommate.
Yeah, and that's fine, I think the process was done, which was.
Yeah.
It's out of direction.
You got to maybe do that.
Okay, yeah, I was just gonna say, yeah.
It's with different.
Okay. Yeah, are you fine with that? Because I don't mind doing it.
Well, I heard
that
Let's see what
I
this
heard.
is. It's like, this is complete.
They actually are
It's
very well, and then I am gonna like.
I think we try. What time? I need my phone with me.
Oh, that's great.
Oh, so this is yours.
Nice.
I should have the last 3 sections you actually.
Will you?
Oh, okay, great. And turn the,
town hall.
In what?
Google.
anything. In what, how many choices do I have?
Well, there's 265 clinical, 261 lab, and 262 lecture.
Yeah,
So-
262.
There's one person.
In that.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
And nobody in lab or anything.
I think so.
Oh, really?
I mean, I'll definitely buy audiobook on the way there today, and then I'll have it down.
I worked on.
Yeah, I think that'll work, so, yeah.
Oh, alright. I'm here, I'm gonna go get my stuff for this year. Yeah. I shall.
You know. What it is.
What's wrong?
You still didn't?
Yeah, you're fine.
I think we're good, yeah, I think we're good.
Hello, hello.
Okay.
That was the only thing I wasn't sure about. He had walked away and I missed him. She was like, hey, we get back, usually like a quick test, 1, 2, 3, and so. As long as that works, we're good. Yes, yeah, I checked, I think he could hear us fine, so. It is recording right now, yeah, I'll just trim it down and we'll figure it out.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, thank you. Corey, thank you so much.
I have no idea.
That's a great. I
That's why I'm negative. Oh, well done. Goodbye. Goodbye. Go for a selfie. Why are you telling me? Oh, you're in there. No. Are you super sorry? All right.
And so I was like,
That sounds.
together and write it down. It's not like.
And I don't know how we know.
Yeah,
But I don't.
but then they don't study it, they're just doing class, and then they think if they got it, you know, they don't revisit it at all.
She remembers it.
So now after this, do you have anybody that?
I feel like it wasn't so young that I felt it was.
So good.
Fourth grade.
So they need to do all that.
Yeah. And so, well, definitely not third, it's in fourth grade.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah, same with Nora. Yeah, we have the same.
Anyway,
Anyway, so yeah, my kids are doing okay. They still at home.
Yeah. I had a couple like that, and then the Hessie didn't, but which is why I decreased it on those Hessie's work.
My mom, then it's.
So the Hessie is stuff, you know, that you don't.
She said, I don't want to die in this place. I'm gonna go back home soon. And that's my plan.
Because of that.
Doing-
We'll get caught.
Yeah.
But they, neither one is gonna come out. So we don't have a chance, right?
Okay.
But
That's good. No. We don't have to go back and. punch it. It's not nice.
Oh,
I
looking
know.
at it, I asked Mom how I
It
said.
kind of has some like preliminary.
Okay,
And
Okay, well, that's-
say, like,
I think that's good.
Like,
Yeah.
what do you wanna do?
Look, I mean, whole folder. It's got the review PowerPoints in that corner, the PowerPoints, prints, the class.
Yeah. I'm like, okay, no.
I worked the whole thing in because it was kind of like what,
There's the will.
I did this more. So that.
It's always when.
We all the same page. Because we didn't really know what you. Anyway. I'll just add you in there.
No problem.
Does that work? Listen, but I never know what I'm doing. How do I add you to this?
Back. Instead of getting some.
Please grab something to eat.
It's fun that. Ah, thank you. Yeah. I'm Paul. Nice to meet you. He's not. Some people, you got it.
I don't know when I was that. No, like you could just,
It was not.
Okay, sense.
The way that you walked out.
I sent it to you, so now you should have access to it.
Yeah.
Look at my calendar.
Yes.
So, yeah, right to or so.
That was a big step.
I mean.
Come on.
It's Friday.
I know.
No, but I think it was also good to go.
Friday before I could join.
Let me check it, no.
All right, you ready?
Like,
That's
it's why I need to get out of
one of the things.
This is what I was trying to say.
Yeah, they're all people,
Yeah.
She said,
Yeah, go to your product,
I did.
and I can click on this, and do stuff in it. I can't do anything in here.
Yeah,
That's
I
I
really did.
for me, like, the videos.
Yeah.
But that's right, because it's my dog.
The old clinical skills, I can do on there, but the new and GN one.
Wow.
Just to get away.
Right.
Yes. So that way,
Yeah.
because I was like, I wanted to go in there and take some of the. I'm like.
Because I didn't this so. But I did, yeah. Looking at it.
I don't know how, I don't know our practitioner it is. They base us. So we are.
There's
Helping them out
two
with work stuff.
I know that.
Yeah, both, you know, everything is fine.
Students are usually
No, I think there's no way. No way. I was, well, actually, she's on.
Yeah, it's like $1,200.
There you go.
And that's something that you don't say. Granddaughter.
no matter their body. I don't know.
Yes, I gave,
So is that game last night?
Actually, another little girl. Yes.
What's your granddaughter's name?
Nice, good.
Yeah, right.
They have to.
They
Right.
like-
Baseball one,
And actually,
obviously,
my.
so.
So I guess it would be the.
They all got grabbed.
Are they with Kenny? Are they?
No, no, Jess.
He actually got the,
Yeah.
the only guys to hire for IT system.
No,
Yeah, no, they
have
have
no
pieces.
You got it.
Background and
Oh my gosh, we did it. Okay, that's.
Yeah.
Cincinnati.
That's how my husband, they were all those like, weird dads, and all the girls are in, like his mom and dad, and then their kids, and then his sister Megan married Justin. Cause they kept it on their people, you know. You know.
Nice, that's awesome.
A lot of pressure.
That's, I was thinking it was,
Oh, that's.
like downtown.
So Megan has like.
Yes, yes, yeah, it's like in the city, that's like a weird like.
Yeah.
Suburb-ish. Yeah, yeah. Yeah, when you first said that, I was like, that's popping my head, I was like, I was like, and then I was like, my dad was calling, I'm just looking at all that. Said I think Oak Hill's like principal too, in like Virginia or New York.
Probably.
And then the phone.
Yeah, it sounds like, yeah, I was very, like, trying to figure it out, it's fun though.
I don't even, well, I didn't know that.
Yeah, no.
Right, am I?
Or you have this.
People are always for there to put in.
Yeah, yeah, you see a folder, we drop this off for everyone, so no one's sitting there, yeah. You see a water bottle, someone's playing there.
So what's here, this is just my map. You know, it's right here.
Wrap it up.
I'm a little worried about my senior on that.
It's there. Get it off, so it's a good.
Oh, my sister's like.
I did say.
Yeah.
Well,
You must do it. I know, it's not.
Yes. Good stuff. Oh my god, yeah. And you thought like winnings or whatever, you just be in my car, next thing I'm like.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, yeah. Yeah. No, it does not, no.
Like online.
Yeah.
So no.
Oh, I think so. People were sitting. All right, yeah, good to see you.
That's actually.
Where's the word be filled?
There's a lot of GR problems.
There's a lot. I'm always looking for.
All right, so I would say, oh, everyone on.
Let's see bubbles.
Down, right.
Yeah, some big bubbles.
Yeah, this is for sure. Yeah.
They are all going through that, right?
Friends, that was that lesson with like, oh, so it's like my home last 5 weeks.
I know.
You lose, I mean, just like lose it when you're talking, but you lose track of time.
Yes.
Yeah, because you're either like, sometimes talking on the phone, sometimes listening to content. It's my goal.
Yes.
That is.
I'm
Keep
doing
driving.
this.
Yeah. Oh my gosh, yeah.
But I like I did that prep work, hilarious formulation. Love it.
Dude, you're a dude.
Yes. I know. This is like hot itself.
And not being crap, bro, and
They have it all.
Hey, her daughter
Yeah.
I don't think.
No.
It's good.
Okay. What do you think about that? It's a new change.
No, my girls did that.
I don't know if I take that as a compliment.
I gotta see.
I know I was gonna add that further, but
Not in here, unless they find the second one.
that's right. Well, maybe.
Yeah.
Oh, there you go. I couldn't. Yeah, figure the words. I feel like an NC. You're a little scared in here.
Yeah.
So much.
While everybody's grabbing lunch real quick, I'm just gonna go ahead and get started. Just to introduce myself, my name is Katie Sturzenegger. I am your local Pearson representative. And I have been with Pearson since 2012 in different capacities. And I actually used to cover nursing here at Miami back in 2012 when you used to share this beautiful building with business school. So I remember walking the halls and doing my thing. I'm so excited to be back here at Miami and to be covering nursing again. So you'll definitely see me here on campus because I live in Mason. I am right down the street. I grew up in Hamilton on the west side behind the Willows back there. So very familiar with the area. And actually I went to summer school here at Miami and the Hamilton campus taking classes. So definitely been on this campus before and look forward to being back here with you again. In addition to nursing, I cover a number of different disciplines here at Miami. So also school of business, IT, things like that. So here with the School of Nursing, we want to make sure that we have the most informative person here. And so we also have John, who's going to be helping us out today, going through quite a few of our different things within nursing. Today, this is also my manager, Corey. He is here helping us out. And I also brought a number of our different texts here that we have across the traditional nursing curriculum. Please go shopping. Take them home. These are heavy. So I will deliver them to your office. I will follow you back to your office anytime. So again, I am your local rep. So I am in sales, but also I service. So what you're going to find inside your folder here is Pearson's commitment to Miami University. Should you choose to adopt any number of our texts and any of the technology that goes along with it, I pride myself on my service capabilities. So I promise to be here on the first day of class to demonstrate how your students get registered. And also I will set up a table and address any issues that you might have in getting registered and making sure that everybody has access on the first day of class. A number of students are already familiar with our MyLab on the Miami campus because they're using Mastering in A&P with Professor Russell.
Can you say that again? Sorry, I was chopping.
That's fine. Many of your students are already familiar with the Pearson platforms.
Oh, okay.
Because they're using it for A&P, with Professor Russell, Professor Shoemaker, and a number here at the Hamilton campus. And then also in chemistry with Professor Desi. So I've already worked with a number of your nursing students in the past. So we look forward to showing you what we have here in nursing today. And Corey, would you like to add anything?
No, I was brought in as IT support, so I was able to get our Zoom meeting up, which feels good. So I did my job. You know, the biggest thing is I like to make sure when we're talking to nursing departments is I want to make sure that you know what we're not, right? We're not ATI. We're not going to come in and we're not going to do test prep. But what we are is we're content for students. And that is where Katie and my heart kind of falls, right? Every day when I come into these presentations or I'm writing an email back to a professor, whatever it is, it starts with what's best for the students, what's best for the professors. And so we always try to approach everything like that. And so if you're looking at something for your classroom, a new piece of content, simulations, some sort of like NCLEX prep, ways to help your students learn better, that's where Katie and I are going to fall into place. And so I'm from Columbus, Ohio, so I'm a little bit further than Katie, just up the road. John is from Knoxville, Tennessee. All three of us work in this area together. Katie's local, which is amazing. But one thing that John and I offer with our geographic distance is that John covers Western North Carolina, Tennessee, into Kentucky. I cover Kentucky, Cincinnati, Indiana. So we work with nursing departments that cover all of those areas. And we aren't experts by any means, right? You all are the nursing instructors. So I don't want to pretend that. But one nice thing that for John and I is we get to see what everyone's doing. So if you're ever curious at what another program's doing, if they're, something they're doing well, or you want to contact somewhere else, let us know and we can always help make those connections as well. It's one of the favorite parts of my job is being able to connect people at different universities or even being able to share what we see working well somewhere else. So without too much more, I guess I'll kind of hand it over to John. And he's going to kind of show you what makes our content great, right? What's the story behind why we're here and why we are so committed to students and then in turn, obviously, the instructors as well.
Hello, hello. Can you guys hear me?
Yes.
Yep.
Fantastic. Okay, this is going to be a unique experience for me, this bird's eye view, looking at myself on a screen while I talk. So I'm going to try not to be distracted by my own bald head while I present. So let me go ahead and share my screen and get to the right screen here. So I flip back and forth between Teams and Zoom so much that it's always a little bit of an experience making sure. Okay. Can you guys see the opening slide?
Yes.
Yep.
Fantastic. And you guys, the volume's okay?
Yes, locked and on.
Perfect, perfect. Okay. So like Corey and Katie mentioned, my name is John Johnston. I am the specialist. I live in Knoxville, Tennessee. Please don't hold that against me. Go Vols, despite what Ohio State did to us in the playoffs. So I work with Katie and Corey quite a bit. I cover all of Tennessee, all of Kentucky, parts of Ohio, and parts of North Carolina. Not with us today. We also have Brooke Imbornoni, who is our marketing manager for our nursing titles. And please don't be worried. This is not going to be a dry PowerPoint presentation. I like to just kind of anchor the presentation here, kind of basically talk about our curriculum for just a few minutes, more or less, then show you kind of what we're going to talk about, and then spend the majority of the time live in product. Before we get started too much, Katie, were you able to have the QR code up on the screen at all prior? I couldn't really see what was going on in the room before.
Prior to, no.
Okay. So guys, I will put this up for now for just a few minutes while I talk, and then we can bring it back up at the end. That QR code, if you scan it, should take you to a Google Forms page, which would allow you to basically request any desk copies that you want. It looks like Katie brought a lot of them to you guys there on the screen, but the next few slides, we're going to talk about some other books that might not be on that table. And just wanted to give you guys an easy way to request any books that you want to see. But I do like to start off kind of with what Corey said. You guys are probably not used to hearing the name Pearson in conjunction with nursing. Covering 4 states, obviously schools are much more familiar with Elsevier, ATI, Lippincott, F.A. Davis, Walters Cooler. Pearson is not a nursing specific publishing company. And just like Corey, I do like to point that out from the onset. I will say we are working on solutions that are going to bring us a lot more into that realm in regards to some of the diagnostic tools and things of that nature. But primarily what we're going to be discussing today is going to be content and platform. And hopefully, if I do my job correctly today, you will see how our online platform, MyLab Nursing, is different than what your experience perhaps with Shadow Health or any of those other types of platforms. Okay. So again, this is just a little bit of an introduction of what we're going to talk about. And as Corey referenced, I have done this presentation at many, many schools, including the University of Tennessee, the University of Kentucky, Cincinnati, and many, many other schools. And these are 3 of the needs that we see a lot across the board. Students need active learning versus passive consumption, rote memorization. They need help with the implementation of technology learning tools. And students need deliberate skills practice. So this is a little bit of a foreshadowing of what we're going to talk about today. And this slide is just a bit of an introduction to some of our curriculum. A lot of those titles are going to be on the table up front. The Lamone and Burke Med-Surg title is very, very popular. Kosher and Herbs. Down on the lower side, Pharmacology for Nurses, our Adams text is extremely popular. On the lower right-hand side is references our concepts-based curriculum. We don't really need to talk about that today because as far as I understand, Ohio is not necessarily into the concepts approach right now, but we do have a medical dose calculation, which is the dimensional analysis approach, okay? And by the way, guys, I can hear pretty well in the room, so if there are any questions, please speak up. If I'm not, because I have a little bit of a view of you guys, but I can't see that well, so please do not feel afraid to speak up and ask questions. Let me move this out of the way just so it's not blocking my view. There we go. Okay. So, just a little bit of more of a walkthrough of some of our titles. OLS maternal newborn, the med dosage. We also have psychiatric mental health, but I do like to spend just a minute going into some of the more specific areas that are perhaps not represented with those major titles. For fundamentals, we do have titles, but we also have them for health assessment, the skills lab, which we'll be talking about later on. For pharmacology, we have two different titles, but we also have one for pathophysiology, which I believe is used pretty close to you guys at the University of Cincinnati. We have the nursing geriatrics titles, mental health, med surg, maternal newborn. We have a couple of different approaches there. Peds, and then we get into some of the upper level titles like legal and ethical issues in nursing, professional nursing leadership, and so on. So before I actually talk about MyLab, I know Katie referenced this. Is anyone there familiar with MyLab nursing? You can raise your hand or speak up, or MyLab in general, either from your days as a student or as professors.
Anybody used it in the past? My lab.
Okay. Okay. Fantastic. Well, I'm going to get basically what I'm going to do is I'm going to walk through kind of what I'm going to show you, and then we're honestly just going to jump live into product. So in essence, the beautiful thing about MyLab, as Katie referenced, is it's used throughout colleges all across the country. And really what this does, the benefit for you guys, should you choose to adopt the product, is it actually eliminates one of the barriers to learning, which is students having to learn a new product. They're having to log in, they're having to set usernames and passwords, they're having to figure out the platform. The vast majority of students that are going to come to your nursing program have used Pearson's products in some form or fashion, whether it was in a math course in college or anatomy and physiology at Miami or chemistry. Our product is used throughout. However, what we do specifically for nursing is we're going to fit the needs of your course outcomes. We're going to have specific NCLEX practice. We're going to engage students with real world exposure, basically prepping them for on the floor experience. We're going to have critical thinking components and adaptive components. Okay. So the next few slides are basically going to be preview of what we're going to talk about. Then I promise we're going to jump out of the actual deck and then go live into product.
Actually, John,
So-
I'm gonna jump in real quick, 1 second.
Yes.
In addition to that, with the MyLab, with the MyLab products, you can actually integrate these with Canvas. So
Mhm.
pretty much every single MyLab that I have here at Miami, whether it's biology, A&P, or any number of different MyLabs, fully integratable with Canvas, and you can sync your grades. And then also here at Miami, we have what's called the Inclusive Access Program. So the students, if you're familiar with this, I see headline, okay, so that is available as well, is that we can get the students to pay for it through a course fee, through a discounted course fee, so they have access to their products on day one of class, no excuses, right? Oh, I can't find a book online, oh, no. They have access to it day one.
Can I ask a quick question? What textbooks are we currently using with Pearson that we would have that availability in that? You know?
Currently, I don't think that there are.
Okay. Okay.
At this point. But I would just love to bring it back to the family.
No, Katie brings up a fantastic point, though. The fact that Pearson is a higher education publishing company rather than nursing centric brings a lot of benefits, not just students' familiarity with the product, but things such as seamless integration with the learning management software. Integration is a fancy 50-cent word that basically means two things. It means the grades sync flawlessly back and forth between your gradebook and Canvas, as well as a single sign-on service. It's been our experience that some of the nursing-centric companies are not necessarily as progressed as we are in terms of that, or perhaps what's on the screen right now, the integration of artificial intelligence, which we will get into more deeply here just momentarily. We also have, before the advent of ChatGPT and generative AI, the big buzzword in higher education was adaptive. Everybody wanted adaptive learning. So you're going to see me talk about the dynamic study modules, which is our adaptive flashcard system. And then for the real world floor ready application piece, we're going to have two different types of cases for your students. Decision making cases, which we have more than 50 now, which is basically going to have the students taking the information that they're hopefully assimilating in your course and then putting that into practice into floor ready scenarios, and then helping them actually practice for the new next gen NCLEX style. We have more than 125 of these and more coming soon. Okay, so I'm going to stop there. Before we actually jump live into product, are there any questions right now from the onset? Anything that you guys would like to clarify or talk about before we kind of jump into the meat of our conversation? I'll take silence as a no. Fantastic. Okay, so what you're looking at right now is the MyLab homepage. So this is going to look exceptionally familiar to your students. This same layout is going to be similar for what they're seeing in MyLab Calculus or the same they're seeing for Mastering Anatomy and Physiology. It's going to be a very, very student-friendly layout. This is a demo course, so they're not going to have active students in here right now. But if we did, you would see a lot of very actionable information right here in the middle of the screen. That's going to allow you at the glance of an eye to see how your course is doing. And then if we scroll down, we're going to have the assignments and then just ways to enrich your course. Before we jump into assignment types, I'd like to spend a little bit of time in the e-text. So I don't know if any of you guys, I think my window's probably small. If you can see behind me, you see a whole lot of physical books because I'm a massive nerd. I love to read. However, the students today are very much into the e-text. The vast majority of students read on their phones and or tablets. The most recent numbers that we have at Pearson is only about 2 or 3% of students anymore really even purchase physical textbooks, simply because these students are pretty much digital natives. Again, I know we have non-traditional students returning that are perhaps not in that subset, but we do have options for them as well. So I do like to start off with the e-text because this is where the students spend the majority of their time. As Corey referenced at the beginning, we do cover a vast array of subjects across really the higher ed spectrum. And the number one complaint I hear from any professor, regardless, whether it's nursing, economics, chemistry, or anything else, is students don't read the text. Is that correct? Are you guys having that struggle as well? I love asking questions that I already know the answer to, right? So we are here in the e-text. I do like to point out a few things. I think I'm sharing my audio, but the thing I'd like to point out first is this.
No audio.
No audio? Okay, hold on. Let me see if it's going to play. I don't know how to turn that on for Teams. I do know how to turn that on for Zoom or blah, blah. Okay. Take me at my word that it reads the entire book to the student. Okay, so as you can see, literally when it's highlighting, it's going to read the book to the student. I bring that up for a couple of reasons. First of all is, again, as I just talked about, some students are non-traditional. That means they're going to have a family at home, they're going to have a job, and all these things where they're going to need to be able to multitask. The e-text for anything inside MyLab is delivered through a free app of ours called Pearson Plus. So the students can download that app for free onto their phone, onto their tablets, whether it's Apple or Google Play, and they can listen to the entire book in an audible format. I know a lot of nursing professors who love this feature because their students can actually plug in and listen while they're driving, while they're walking the dog, while they're at the gym, while they're cooking dinner. I think this is a fantastic way for students to learn, but I've also learned that some students are just auditory learners. Many students learn by looking and reading, many by doing, and some by listening. Me personally, I drive a lot for this job. Audiobooks are a lifeline for me. So the ability to listen is huge for me. And then I also like to point out a couple other things. I don't think there's going to be any textbook on earth that any professor is going to be 100% happy with. You're not going to like the way that they discuss one particular aspect. So one of the frustrating things for professors is that you can't edit a textbook unless you write it yourself, right? So once a text, I'm sorry, what was that?
No, it's just a call.
Oh, my apologies. I am so sorry. I thought someone was asking a question. I hear that from professors, like they wish that, they could really put an addendum in there, just the way something is covered. So we're here talking about cellular regulation. So let's say that you just don't really like the way it's covered in this text. So students can highlight, correct? But you as the instructor can also go in here to the e-text, highlight what you want, click on new note, and then put anything that you want. You can put a hyperlink to a video. You can say, please also see. You can put a hyperlink to a lecture video, a TED Talks video. It could be a live PDF, anything that you want. And you can click share note and save. It just got sent to your entire class as a push notification. So while a textbook that is on the market and has been published is obviously someone else's intellectual copyright, you can customize this text to your heart's content. This has become very, very popular with nursing instructors because sometimes textbooks might be a little bit out of date on BMI or the age of when a colonoscopy is recommended, or something about the blood pressure. It's lowered from 120/80. You can go in there and actually put any type of addendum that you want. And then any note that you take and that the student take lives over here in the notebook feature. So it becomes this repository of information that the student has that is both theirs and your information, and it can become an ersatz study guide for the student. They can filter by color. There's pink, yellow, and blue. And then they can also export the notes, print them out, and use it as a study guide. I know a lot of instructors really love this feature because it gives them the freedom to not necessarily have to 100% agree with how the e-text talks about things. You can actually put in your own information. Also, just in case you're wondering, in the display settings, you can actually make it sepia tone, dark tone. You can make the text as big or small as you like. I bring that up because I don't know if accessibility for anyone with any type of disability is as large a deal in Ohio as it is in Tennessee. I know in many cases in Tennessee, a homework system and or text cannot be adopted unless it meets and exceeds all WCAG 2.1 standards. So the audio feature and the notes feature actually help meet accessibility standards. Okay?
John, we have a quick question.
Yes.
I don't really know how these books are delivered, but like if I highlight something for, say, my 2025 cohort of students, do I have to re-go in and highlight for my 2026? No.
I love that. I love that question. The answer is no. So that's one of the great features of this is your notes and everything copy over from semester to semester. The only caveat to that is right now it is not currently set up to where it copies to new editions. That might be something that the company is working on, or it might be something we can help port that information over. But as long as you are in the same edition, everything stays and copies from semester to semester. Okay?
Yeah, and John, I'm gonna jump in there really quickly, just because I think we have so many cool things that I think that we're gonna get into. We have our AI study tools, we have the decision-making cases, we have the next gen NCLEX cases, but a lot of just these really basic features are the ones that I think are going to engage students, right? If I'm a student and I'm not reading a lot, if I know that my instructor is putting notes in there for me and maybe saying, hey, this is important for the next test, or hey, when you go to the sim lab, this is what we're going to look at, it's going to bring me closer to learning. For students, they can go in and make these same notes and highlights for themselves. As John said, they can download and print them off as a PDF, right? So think study guide, outline for a section, something like this. They can also turn them into flashcards as well, right? One of the things that we know from learning science is that flashcards work, right? That's why so many instructors have recommended them for decades. That's why so many students like the Quizlets and things like that, because it works, right? It's giving your brain a chance to pause, engage with the text, pull that information out, correct it, and file it back away. And so being able to do that is just, it's a kind of a basic feature that comes with all of our books, but it is really nice. And then I'll say it for the third time. The copy's over, and you can print them as well, right? So it's good for you, or really great for the students.
A fantastic point. The flashcard feature is amazing. This is honestly why I spend a good portion of most of these presentations in the e-text, because this is where your students live. So if we can deliver to your students a productive and pedagogically sound experience inside the e-text, that is 90% of the battle. So let me ask you guys this, and you can answer however you want. Has anyone heard of ChatGPT? All right, what are you guys' thoughts? Give me your thoughts, good, bad, or indifferent.
Love it, obsessed.
Now, do you love it for your own usage, or do you love it for your students' usage?
I love it for both, actually.
Okay.
I encourage students to use ChatGPT to create test questions, so.
Okay. Oh, yeah, I love it because I asked this question at many different presentations. Yeah, the variety of responses I get is really funny sometimes.
Oh my gosh, I just want to see, I want to see if there's any mixed feelings around that, because I know it's not as, I love it, right? I would encourage students to use it because I use it constantly, but I know that I don't think everyone's all on board, right?
It depends what they're using it for, right? Like if they're using it for, typing in information and developing test questions, that's one thing, but if they're using it for assignments, then that's a no, right? So I think that's where.
And you
Correct.
You have to double check it. References are not accurate.
Yeah.
Or they make one up.
Yeah.
That's a good point. So the interesting thing
I'm gonna talk just for 1 sec. Yeah, ChatGPT, as we all know, is one of the issues is the hallucinations, right? You can push ChatGPT to give you whatever answer you want it to, right? You can push, because it is a user pleaser, right? It's a people pleaser. One of the things I found so interesting is a couple weeks ago, I was in Charlotte visiting some cousins. One goes to OU here in Ohio, one goes to Knoxville, and one goes to Auburn. The one that was at Auburn wasn't actually there. But I was kind of asking him, right? I was like, are you guys using ChatGPT? What do you guys think about it? What are your instructors telling you? Right? I'm trying to do a little market research while I'm down there enjoying ham. And they all said, yes, we're using it constantly in every class for every assignment all the time. And so my cousin Brady at UT is taking a Latin course right now. I was like, hey, can I just see what you're doing? Like, can you pull up your history? And so he has like a bot or like a chapter or module, I don't even know what to call it, but the module on the side that said Latin class. And I pulled it up, and what I'm expecting to see is not what I saw, right? What I'm thinking that I'm going to see in my head is I'm going to see, translate this phrase for me, right? And copy and paste it in, it translates. Because I think ChatGPT would probably be really good at that. But that wasn't how he was using it. It was a big surprise to me, because I think that students are a lot smarter about using AI, at least my cousin is, smarter about using AI than I probably would have been. And the way that he was using it is he had done the translations, and he had like marked syllables. That was a surprise to me. I know that's the thing you do in Latin class, but he had like marked syllables. And so he would take a picture of what he did, and he said, is this the right translation? And it would go in and say, no, like these markings are off. And he would say, why? Right? And so he was engaging with it as if it was a tutor rather than as if it was a source for answers, which really surprised me. And hopefully, John, I kind of teased you up to that AI study tool that we have, and hopefully how the students can use it to their benefit, right? Use it as a tutor rather than use it as a source for answers.
Now that's fantastic. Thanks, Corey. The interesting thing, unless the information has been updated since then, the last time Corey and I looked this up, the free version of ChatGPT is only about 40% accurate, 40. So 6 times out of 10, even when students use it, they're getting incorrect information. Now, I know there's a paid version out there that's quite expensive, $100, $200 a month. That's closer to 70%, but we know students aren't using that. So
And that's on graduate level content is what it
yeah,
is.
absolutely.
Yeah.
So basically, the big difference with what Pearson has done, this again is one of the benefits of us being a major publishing company, is we saw the generative AI wave coming years before it hit and invested heavily in it. And what we've done is we've built our own large language model like ChatGPT. However, we have built it just on this textbook. And that's the key difference. So the hallucinations and all the things within ChatGPT that are so troublesome, it's mainly because it's pulling information from Reddit, Tumblr, Discord servers, and everywhere else. Our tool is only pulling from this textbook. So over here in the left-hand menu, like where I showed you the notebook feature, there's a table of contents. Here's our AI study tool, and we named that correctly. It is a study tool, not a cheating tool. So the AI tool lives right here. Now, the vast majority of students, my own daughters included, my daughters are 27, 23, and 20. I watch them do college, and they are not reading at 2 o'clock in the afternoon when they can easily ask you a question. They're reading at the earliest at 11 o'clock at night when most sane people are going to bed. My daughters, God bless them, were reading at 2 o'clock in the morning. So they don't have a tool there that they're able to ask questions to. So if they click on the AI study tool, it brings up and they can interact with it and they can ask prompts, but they're given 3 options right from the get-go: summarize, practice, explain. So we have found that about 80% of the interactions with our AI study tool are generated through these prompts. So let's say the student, again, is not really understanding cellular regulation. They can click on summarize. It's going to ask them, all right, do you want to summarize the section or the chapter? Oh, let's summarize the chapter. I'm just not understanding it. It breaks down the chapter into chunks for them, puts it into bullet points. It removes extraneous information and serves the information up to them in a way that will helpfully make them understand it a little bit more. So let's say they're still not getting it. They can say, I still don't understand. Explain cellular. Whoa. And I'm actually going to leave the misspellings in there because we know students will do that. To me, like I'm a 5th grader. And it actually does it for the students. It breaks it down for them. And the great thing is, it cites its sources. And if the student clicks there, it's going to take them to exactly the page in the book where that is. And it's actually going to bring in diagrams and artwork from the book to help them understand. What do you guys think about that? Do you think that would be helpful to your students?
John said that he likes asking questions that he knows the answer to. So I'll ask one. Would this be a better tool for your students over ChatGPT? Yeah, it's within our guardrails, right? It's going to pull information from that Pearson library. Like John said, a majority of the students are just clicking one of those buttons, right? Summarize, it can ask, I think John's bringing me to this, it's going to say, you can say, quiz me over hyperplasia, tell me about hyperplasia, like it was a Taylor Swift song, right? You can do all of those fun things. But what I really hope students are engaging in is, I hope that they're asking questions that maybe they want to ask you tomorrow in class, right? Maybe something they need to know a little bit more about. So does anyone teach cellular regulation in their classes? And if so, what's a common misconception that comes up? Or what is a common question that students have anywhere in this chunk?
We love doing this live, by the way. So we love seeing what it comes up with. So please don't feel afraid.
Yeah, or what book is this, John?
I'm actually in the concepts title, so it's gonna pretty much bring up anything right now.
Yeah, so it could be any common misconception from any book.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Now, do you have any competes questions that just come up every semester?
Oh gosh, put me on the spot. I don't know.
Well, while you guys are thinking about that, let me show you, and we can come back to that in just a second, but the actual other feature of this study tool that people truly love is the practice. Because let's kind of go through the student's process. They're reading, they click summarize or explain to help them understand the concept, but they're not yet competent enough to come to the lab tomorrow or the exam and do something for a grade. They click on practice. And I say, okay, I want to practice questions from this whole chapter. It just generated 1,082 practice questions for the student. I've had a professor say this is more or less unlimited practice for the student. And the thing that truly surprises me is these AI generated practice questions still have wrong answer feedback. So they're in a safe place, they're in a safe environment, no grade is attached to this, but it's helping them not just understand, but then practice the information to gain mastery of the concept.
Can you further designate it to say, I wanted to give me an NCLEX style question?
John, do you hear that?
I did. I don't know if we can do it in the AI tool. We have an NCLEX style, but I'll find out. Can you give me an NCLEX style question around
What is the specific example?
hyperplasia?
Yeah, if you have one, we'll give it to you again. It doesn't get tired ever. It just keeps answering questions.
I just know over the past, the next gen, they changed the formatting somewhat of the way questions can be asked on that. So I just didn't know if this had adapted to that as well.
It does not look, it doesn't like that.
It doesn't.
Highlight certain parts of it, and they're looking for the highlight portion.
No, we will make sure we have that for sure. And we will show you that.
Yeah, and we'll show that. It may not be in this right now, but we do have that type of practice for you, and I will show that. And one other thing I do like to point out, we have the entire chat history available, because a lot of the things that instructors asked is, hey, I would like to see what my students are saying or getting from the AI tool. You can go into the chat history, the student can save it, they can print it off, and they can bring it to office hours and say, hey, this is what the AI tool told me. Because again, AI is not perfect. It's artificial intelligence. It's learning, and we actually can downvote or upvote. So on the rare occasions where it gives incorrect information, you simply you thumb down the question and it actually learns from that information. I will say we have done this, Corey and I have done this presentation at probably 50 different nursing departments in the last year or two. And the only time I have ever seen it stumped is if, in rare occasions, if there is an acronym that could possibly mean two things, then sometimes it can get a little bit confused. And I always use as an example, at Pearson, the term DE&I is used. So much of the world, DEI means diversity, equity, and inclusion. But in our world, DEI means digital engagement initiative. And it's a textbook delivery system. So in that instance, if you're asking something like IRA could stand for a, type of fund, or it could also stand for the Irish Republican Army. So that's the only time I've actually seen it get stumped. But unless you guys have come up with kind of a question to ask it, because I love doing this, the feature that people are really, really gravitating towards right now in our AI tool is this one. So as a student is reading through the book, let's say, do you guys have many ESL students in your program, English as a second language?
Yeah.
This feature is one of the hidden gems of AI. So the student can highlight up to 1,500 characters and click translate. It'll translate into, I believe it now, it's almost 200 languages. There's anything that you can do Persian, we can do.
And I've seen this at Miami firsthand, like I'm looking at canvases in a number of different languages as I'm an assistant student, so. Yes, does it read that aloud too if you translate it? Can you get that reading?
That's always the next question, and we don't have that yet. So the audio feature is not yet tuned to this. However, I do like to point this out because especially like a lot of medicine they're learning a new language. So my mom is a nurse practitioner. And I know just from growing up with her that, I mean, there's, a lot of Latin terms, especially medical terminology, interstitial, proximal, distal, and these different things. If someone is trying to learn the medical language while trying to, in their head, translate from their native language of Swahili to then English, then to medical, that's two barriers to learning. If we can remove one of those barriers and let them actually read the text in their native tongue, that's a huge benefit. Like for instance, in Lexington, Kentucky, not too far away from you guys, the University of Kentucky and Bluegrass Community College, there is a large community there from Kuwait. Not sure why, but this feature alone was enough to wow them because it actually removes one of those huge barriers to student learning.
And what I will do as a follow-up is I will reach out to each and every one of you and make sure that you have access to our Pearson MyLabs and the AI study tool along with it. So I always ask faculty, play around with it, break it, try to break it.
Absolutely. Yes.
And just
Play with it.
see what you think. And again, like I said, I'm local, and so I'm happy to come in at any time, just to pop in whenever you're available. We can go through this.
And I'll point out, I'm showing this out of a particular book. The AI tool is in many of our nursing titles. If you ask Katie, she can get you the list of the ones that it's available in right now and the ones that it is rolling out to. But at this point, I'm pretty sure it's well over 1,000 titles it's in at this point, and they're coming out in more and more. But kind of the end result of this is Pearson has had this AI tool on the market now for well over a year. It was been beta tested with over 100,000 students. And they actually, what's that?
No.
Oh, I'm sorry. And then basically what they found out was by monitoring the student usage, the students who had the AI study tool available to them in the text spent more than 40% more time in the e-text than those who did not. Because they have a built-in just-in-time tutor that they can click on at 2 a.m. and ask to summarize or ask questions. How does cancer alter cells?
So as the faculty member, we're able to run that report?
I don't think so. You mean to run a report on their chat history?
On their time that they spent on the tool?
We can run a report on time they spent in the book.
Okay.
Yes,
Yeah.
absolutely.
Yeah, right now, the amount of time that they're spending in AI studies with is very secretive, even amongst us. Like I've asked a lot, like, because that was the big data point when we rolled this out in fall of 23, was they said 100,000 students have access to it, right? And it was in 3 titles. So what I keep asking is, well, we have it in 614 titles right now. How many students have it now? And they won't tell me, right? So we don't have access to how much time they're spending with it, but there's some other data points we could definitely pull. Yeah. Yeah, I mean, time reading, things like that, great analytics, things, other pieces.
So we can pull them as a faculty member?
Yes, yeah. And it's even pulling, it should be the dashboard for it.
Okay.
For some reason, my window went dark, so I'm not seeing what you guys are seeing. Can you see my homepage?
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay. We have newer computers and the camera is quite finicky. So I'm looking at a black screen now as far as what you can see. So please let me know if you cannot see my screen. But before I move on, because I do want to be respectful of your time, because I'm sure you have other things you need to cover today. Are there any specific questions about the AI study tool or the eText platform in general? I know AI generally brings up a lot of questions that people kind of want to dive into before we actually get into the other types of assignments.
Nope.
No? Fantastic. Okay. So, in the interest of time, I was told I'd have about 45 minutes, and I don't want to take too long. I'm from the South, and Corey loves to talk about how slow I talk. So I'm going to do my best to move forward quickly. The three features that we have in addition to the eText and AI study tool they kind of stick to Pearson's approach of prepare, apply, assess. So before class, during class, after class. So the first one I want to show you is called our dynamic study module. So prior to the generative AI revolution, the big word inside higher education was adaptive. Everybody wanted adaptive learning. So Pearson addresses that through something called the dynamic study module. We lovingly call them DSMs for short. And I'm going to get in here and show you what these are. If we had Brooke Imbornoni with us on this call today, our marketing manager for nursing, she loves to call these a ticket to class. So I'm going to show you what these are. This is actually on the elimination concept. But dynamic study modules are going to give you an introduction to the case, and this is truly individualized adaptive learning for the student. And when I click next, you're going to, or continue, you're going to see what this looks like. So from the onset, what's that?
We're all laughing about the picture.
Oh yeah, I'm sorry. I did not plan that. It looks like, yeah, he's on the toilet, but he looks like he's doing the pee-pee dance with his legs like that. But yeah, it's process of elimination. So from the onset, this looks like a very simple flashcard type setup. But the beautiful thing about the DSMs or dynamic study modules is the simplicity. These are actually built on learning science using 23 different neurocognitive triggers. So we go through here, and the very first one the student is going to be faced with is metacognition. So again, I'm not going to really read the question, so please don't judge my intelligence or lack thereof by what I answer. But the student goes in here to answer. They click once if they're unsure. They can split the vote and go between two, or if they're very confident in their answer, they click twice, right? Notice it tells me I was sure and incorrect, but yet it doesn't tell me what the right answer was. So that is because of the actual neurocognitive trigger of delayed corrective feedback. So this slide deck might be 28 questions, it might be 40 questions. But through a lot of learning science and research, we have found that basically students start to get cognitive fatigue after 8 questions. So we're going to chunk the material up into groups of 8 and then remediate the student. So we go through here and we start to answer the questions. Now, again, Brooke likes to call these a ticket to class because oftentimes nursing professors love to assign these prior to lecture. That's the neurocognitive trigger of priming. You're priming the student's brain to then come to lecture and absorb the information that you're going to teach them. So we go through here and we're answering. And notice these are going to be more concepts, definitions. This is not your critical thinking piece. This is not your NCLEX style. We're going to get into that here shortly, but we're going through here and we're answering. But notice this little tricky button at the top. It's going to show estimated time to completion and the accuracy percentage. So the cool thing about this, what makes this truly adaptive, is there's a neural network going on behind this with an adaptive engine where each of these questions is tied to a learning outcome. So if the student is not really paying attention and they're just clicking through because they know that the goal is just to turn each of these little tick marks green, notice that time to completion just jumped from 34 to 35 minutes. So if the student answers incorrectly, the system is going to want that student to show mastery of that topic twice before it gets pulled out. So basically, we then have something called shadow questions, Because going all the way back to the beginning, we were talking about we don't want the students to just do rote memorization. We want them to understand. So the next time this same concept is brought up, the root of the question might be a little bit different, or the answer placement has changed because we don't just want them to memorize the right answer was the third one, correct? So we're going to go through here and answer. And it jumped up to 36. Again, I'm really not doing very well. I'm going to go through here. We're going to go to 8 questions. So just bear with me while I answer a couple more.
Are you seeing anything similar right now? Are students coming to class, some type of system like this?
If they're on, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, John, they said they make a lot of their own similar to this. And one thing that I've heard a lot from instructors is that, you know, students aren't reading, as we talked about, but they will use this in preparation for class as their way of like, you know, reading, basically reading over notes or an outline. A lot of this is like, it should be foundational information for whatever the topic is, right? They're reading chapter 3, it should just be the basics of chapter 3. They probably don't have to read to be able to complete that dynamic study module, but going through that process is giving them the content. And this is what John is getting to once he gets to 8.
Absolutely. So yeah, we got through 8 questions, and then instead of saying continue, now it says learn. It takes me all the way back to the beginning and remediates me. Tells me what the right answer was, and then gives me additional information. Oftentimes it's going to give me a graph or something from the book that actually reinforces that learning and walks the student through it. But they also have the option to review their correct answers. So the cool thing about these DSMs as well, or dynamic study modules, I do apologize for the use of acronyms. It's a little bit of a habit. These have become Pearson's most used homework type. And that's not just in nursing. These are used in everything from chemistry to calculus. And the reason that professors and students love them is students do them. The aspect of gamification of just simply bubbling in something makes the student feel like they're playing a game. For instance, this past summer, I went to Europe and I downloaded Duolingo. And when you serve something up in the form of a game, you almost lose track of the fact that you're learning, but because you're playing a game and you're getting points, if that makes sense.
And John, they have another meeting coming up, so we're gonna have to wrap up here in the next 3 or 4 minutes.
Oh, shoot. Okay, I am going to get out of this. Any questions about DSMs before I show you very quickly the last 2 types?
Yeah.
Hey, John, what if we just make a video and send it out, just showing them those NCLEX style questions, unless anyone has to see it right now? Just so we can give you guys a moment to ask any questions. And then John, we can give them a quick moment to ask any questions. We'll send a follow-up video, as John said. So we have, John, can you pull that back up again?
Absolutely. Sorry. My apologies.
The idea is that students are preparing coming into class, they're doing an activity in class, and then they're being assessed after, right? Just as learning science would say. And so that first piece there is the dynamic study module. They do it coming into class, that'll prep, get ready, and then we have our NCLEX style questions, and then we have a case that they go home with after. And so we'll send you videos of what these look like and why we have them in here, right? Why they're going to help students learn. And so as we kind of wrap that up, are there any general questions for us about our e-text, about any of the homework assignments, and just how we can prepare students for being better floor-ready nurses?
And while you guys are doing that, one thing I will tell you quickly, and we can show a video on this as well. This is the NCLEX style with the unfolding case information. But we also have, and Katie can send a video on this, we have an amazing nursing skills product as well that really kind of helps you with your skills checkoff list that we can show you how that works as well. But basically it walks the students through all the different skills, and then they actually are able to utilize our media share assignment to record themselves demonstrating the skills and have actual peer-to-peer evaluation as well.
Where is this housed, this part?
So this is all of this is housed in the MyLab, right? It's all included with when students come in and buy the book, right? What I think of as a book when I was in school, they get this MyLab. It has the e-text in there. It has those dynamic study modules that you can assign, or they can just self-study with. It has the NCLEX style cases. It has the simulations, all of that assessment.
And, you know, and it's offered in almost all of these books that you see here. So, you know, at the very least, as Katie said, please come and grab a book. I know that one that always goes quick is the drug guide. It's just kind of like a reference guide, but a lot of people like to just have that on their shelves, or maybe give it to a student if you want. But we will follow up with all of this so that you all can review and then let us know how we can help, okay?
Yeah, and the one last thing I will say, and just to that question, is Katie can get you more information about the price. That's probably what you're not used to. This is not a la carte. Everything that you saw from the e-text, the AI study tool, the decision-making cases, NCLEX style cases,
Okay.